Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Player ratings, get out the door. I'm not doing player ratings today because I don't want to give anybody above a 1, which means that working with decimal points could get quite monotonous for the viewer. So I thought I would discuss Chelsea crashing, burning, we're finished, I'm done, all of the things that I've said recently. I need to explain why I am at a low point that I don't think is paralleled by any other moment in my personal lifetime as a Chelsea fan. And unfortunately, this is the video today where I've got to call out the owners. I've got to talk about Todd Boehly, the new Chelsea board, and everything else. I want to remind you of a YouTube short video I made where Chelsea have got themselves a new coach. Gilbert Enoka was brought in as some kind of mentality mastermind. Has he come in, turned into a witch, and made the mentality of every single player in this football team and those making the decisions supposedly as well? Gilbert Enoka's arrived, and all of a sudden Chelsea have become a shadow of the club that we were. The identity and DNA of Chelsea Football Club right now is beyond questionable. I'm embarrassed. I'm genuinely embarrassed that after all that has happened, we spent 600 million, started the season with a European champion, Thomas Tuchel. Graham Potter comes in, not the right man. We've hired Frank Lampard, and 3 games in a row, Chelsea have been beaten, and each performance gets worse and worse and worse. And unfortunately, when we exhaust blame on managers, Graham Potter would have done better in the last 3 games, in my opinion, which shows the PR move of the owners to bring in Frank Lampard. It lasted 10 minutes against Wolves at the start of the game. There was a bit of buzz at the beginning of the game yesterday at Stamford Bridge because Frank's back in town. But, I mean, we go 1-0 up. The confidence, even at 1-0. You know that this Brighton team, the way they played yesterday, I think they had more shots on goal than any team has had at Stamford Bridge against us since 2003. And all of that is because they're managed by a proper manager, a phenomenal football team, and a phenomenal football club, ran impeccably right from the top all the way down to the people that serve the coffee and the tea. Brighton and Hove Albion, what an example to be set to European football, English football. Their story is phenomenal. But enough of me licking their proverbial, and let's talk a little bit about the Chelsea ownership, because, like I said, when we have this period where we've gone through Tuchel, Potter, now Lampard, none of which are working, at some point we can criticise the players when we watch the match all we want, because the players have stopped trying. And I don't want to say the players have stopped caring, because if I were them, I'd be embarrassed to go home to the families, embarrassed to go home to their wives, having seen once again that game by game by game, they've given up. The fundamentals of what makes a football team a success on the pitch comes from the mentality. You remember Chelsea a couple of months ago, right? I made a video saying that we got a new coach. His name's Gilbert Enoka. This guy is supposedly coming in as a mentality monster to fix up the screws that are loose in the players' heads and everybody at the club, to change our identity, to make us fighters, to make us believers. What on earth has Gilbert Enoka come in and done, mate? You should have stuck to rugby. I'm not blaming him for this. I'm blaming the ownership. Because when you spend £600 million on playing personnel, you've got players changing in corridors, you've got managers coming out more than flipping Watford FC, who are known as the joke of sacking, hiring, firing. Chelsea have done that in the past, but at least we've been able to back it up with on-the-field success, a trophy cabinet that some clubs in London could only dream of any time in the foreseeable future, in their future or in their history. Chelsea have won it all. We've absolutely won it all. And now, when I watch our Chelsea on the pitch every single game, I know we're going to lose. Do you understand? Maybe some of the new fans around here won't get that. But even before the Abramovich era, a lot of people that don't really know much about football would like to tell you that Chelsea were born in 2003. We were winning FA Cups in the late 90s and the early thousands, before Roman's oil money comes into things. Chelsea Football Club are a club used to winning. We used to be overachievers. Now, we are closer to getting relegated than we are even a Europa League place at this moment in time, which is totally unacceptable. And unfortunately, I have supported, backed, been optimistic about these new owners all season long. But the fact of the matter is, Chelsea Football Club have been sold to a group of people with zero European sporting experience, let alone experience running a successful, elite, top-level football club. And this is the biggest issue I have here. And as much as this could be like a Chelsea fan's egotistical, psychological little win that we get over other teams when we say, yeah, Chelsea are a big club. Chelsea, when we talk finance, are a big club. But it's got to a point where we've been bullying teams like Brighton only to show absolutely nothing for it and get schooled in our own backyard by a team that are actually ran properly. And my biggest concern here is that, is there any way, if these guys clearly don't know what they're doing, all right? I think they've been trying their best. But unfortunately, us Chelsea fans, we're going to have to suffer with no midweek European football now, which, okay, the teams that are going to make it absolutely deserve it. You've got the likes of Arsenal and Man City, who are a class above, once again, shown from the owners through to the leadership that sticking with a project and employing the right people and buying the right players instead of just throwing hundreds of millions on signing everybody because what, we want to be a nice brandable, marketable football club? Okay, cool. Our name's in the headlines all the time, but look at what those headlines are saying. Look at my thumbnails. Look at my titles. Chelsea have crashed and burned. And is anyone going to tell me, oh, clickbait? No, mate. If you watch football, you can see that Chelsea are a shadow of the team that they used to be. And my concern is that with these owners, is it going to be possible to rectify this situation? We've seen the stories about FFP. Chelsea have got to make sales before the end of June, I believe, in order to even be in any kind of position to spend money this summer. And the craziest part of all of this is because we spent 600 million on, in the most part, pure and simple mediocrity, we've got to probably spend again in order to try and be competitive next season. And that is in the same time while still trying to figure out who is going to manage our football club. And to be quite honest, any of the managers that Chelsea are linked with right now, every game that goes by where these players show a complete lack of desire, complete lack of heart, complete lack of any kind of connection and cohesion on the pitch, every single one of these games that goes by, managers are going to get turned off. They're going to be beyond turned off. It's like opening a packet of chicken nuggets and the first thing you see is mould. The first thing you smell is mould. Chelsea have become mouldy. We're festering right now, rotting to the ground. And the worst part of it all is that as fans, we can sense these things. You know, when Brighton equalised yesterday, it was the most obvious thing in the world because they had so many chances and we're relying on a goalkeeper who the game before we're blaming for conceding 2 goals in the most high-profile match of the season. No matter what happens here, whenever there's a positive, it is followed by 3 or 4 negatives. And all this comes down to, at this point in time, after my optimism, after my backing of the new owners saying, isn't it good that they're spending their money on our football club again? The problem is, they're spending it with absolutely zero idea and plan and strategy behind it, and in the most competitive, strongest league in the world, where there are clubs like Brighton ready to show you up as to how to be ran, how to play football, how to hire a manager, and how to deal with adversity. Chelsea Football Club are arguably the worst club in the world right now in terms of like the top tier clubs to deal with adversity. As soon as the going gets tough, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher because there's no incentive to work for it. The players are on so much money, and because of all these little bonuses they've got about Champions League football, now it's not attainable, and it hasn't been for some time. Look at the capitulation. This is not what football used to be. Football didn't used to be about the bonuses. It didn't used to be about the paycheck. I mean, obviously it certainly helps, but at the same time, I really think now that the identity of Chelsea as a big club is in serious jeopardy. We might have a lovely fancy part of London to call our home. We might have a beautiful, old-fashioned, lovely football stadium in Stamford Bridge with the idea of building a new one with 70,000, 80,000 capacity. The life and soul of Chelsea Football Club is slowly but very quickly dying. And to me, it's sad. It's horrible. It's horrifying to witness game by game by game a group of players that, yeah, there's too many of them. But there's not enough of them within the too many that really care. Frank Lampard came out in his post-match presser yesterday. He's talking about you're going to see a group of players that will fight for every ball to beat Real Madrid. Really? Is it just simply the fact that we spent 600 million on pure mediocrity and we are now in a position where we've got to accept that the big club status is going to go? Teams are going to overtake us. Newcastle, Aston Villa. Look at all of the continuities here. Brighton, teams that are managed properly from the top into the management teams, down to the players. Chelsea haven't got any of this right. And it's at a point now where I'm questioning whether did Abramovich get the right guy? Because when everything capitulates around you, someone needs to be blamed. There needs to be somebody who takes the hit for this. And we've already sat here and blamed Tuchel, sat here and blamed Potter, slagged off the players who just don't seem to be putting in any effort every game. And then when you wake up in the morning, we've got to see Todd Boehly, fair play to him, apparently he was in the dressing room for an hour after the game yesterday. Brilliant, good, that is what we need to see. That's what we want to hear. But we've got to, every single thing from this point on, results between now and the end of the season, realistically, we might get 5 points in the Premier League. I don't see us beating Real Madrid. I'm going to try and figure out a way that we can in tomorrow's video. We have got to see every small detail now perfectly executed. Otherwise, Chelsea will no longer be a big club. We won't be competing for trophies. We won't be competing for honours. And we will have to just get used to this. I'm not going to go and jump ship and support Man City like some people would say that, oh, George is going to go follow someone. Piss off. Get real. I'm not going to support another team. Chelsea's my club. And I'm distraught that we're in the position we're in. And it affects my mood. And every day that I look at what's going on, I hear the same words coming out from different managers. When is it going to change? Is it even possible with this ownership? They don't understand football and European sport. So how can you run a football club at this level? Chelsea are operating at the top. And very quickly, we are becoming not only a laughingstock, a joke, but the peak of mediocrity. Let me know in the comments down below. Is there any way that you can foreshadow this being fixed? What is considered a fix at this point? It can't be just to beat Real Madrid. That would paper over so many issues. Fundamentals, the players need to start caring. We need to get rid of at least half of them. Then what do we do? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Go on, you Blues.